Hi BookTube. Today I'm going to tell you all about My Austen Project. Recently I got to thinking that I do read a lot, but I didn't feel particularly well read. And so I was thinking there were books that everybody had seemed to read that I hadn't read. I hadn't read Pride and Prejudice, although I'd loved the film adaptations and the TV adaptations. I hadn't read the book itself. In fact, I hadn't read any of Jane Austen's, and so I thought she'd be a good place to start. So what I'm planning to do, and part way through, is to read all of Jane Austen's novels, watch the TV and film adaptations of them, do some background reading around Jane Austen herself and the themes and the novels and the books, and also to read some of the books that have been inspired by Jane Austen and part of the Austen Project. So today I'm just going to show you the books that I've got, talk a little bit briefly about them, and then there'll be future videos on what I've thought of each one and where I'm up to with the project as I go along. So firstly we'll start with the novels. So firstly I've got Persuasion by Jane Austen, this beautiful Barnes & Noble leather-bound classic edition. I've read Persuasion and I absolutely loved this one. I have also got Emma by Jane Austen, this beautiful Penguin English Library edition. I've not read Emma yet, although I have seen adaptations of it in the past and I have enjoyed it, but I've not actually read the book yet. Mansfield Park. I have read this. I read this actually when I was about 14 or 15 and hated it. I've read it again recently and did actually enjoy it a lot more. I think I was too young to just be my head was just all over the place and not really into reading proper literature. So Sense and Sensibility, I've read this one as well and enjoyed it. I'll tell you more about that when I get to that particular chunk of my project. Pride and Prejudice, I have actually read this now and I loved it. It was wonderful and everything I expected it to be. Don't know why I hadn't read it sooner. And then finally we've got Northanger Abbey. I've read this one as well. This is another one that I read when I was about 14, 15 and again found it quite boring, but since rereading it recently I've come to appreciate it. This is like, it's got a bookmark in it. I have actually read Northanger Abbey, but this edition actually has Lady Susan, the Watsons and Sanditon in it, and Lady Susan, they've just made the film adaptation Love and Friendship from that, so I've got some of those books relating to the film and that coming on pre-order. So as well as the novels, you may know about, there's an Austen project going on at the moment where modern day authors are being tasked with rewriting the stories of Jane Austen for a modern audience and a modern twist on it. So the first one that came out was Sense and Sensibility by Joanna Trollope. I've read this one. I'll be giving you a more thorough review of it when I talk about the Jane Austen chunk of my project on Sense and Sensibility, and wasn't too keen. The next one is Northanger Abbey by Val McDermid. Not read this one yet either, but I do really like the cover of that book. Then we've got Emma by Alexander McCall Smith. I've not read this one yet either because obviously I've not read the original Emma. I do love Alexander McCall Smith as an author, so I'll be interested to see what he does with Emma. And then the one that's come out most recently is Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld, and that is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. There's also another book that's been inspired by Pride and Prejudice, and this is called Longbourn by Joe Baker, and I have read this one. Also, in addition to the novels and the inspirational novels, I've got quite a few books all about Austen and the books herself because I really want to immerse myself in this. So the first one I've got is the Jane Austen Pocket Bible, and this is by Holly Ivins. It's just a small little hardback book, and that's just sort of like, it is like what it says, a little pocket guide, and it's got little snippets in about the novels and about Jane and things like that. I've got Eavesdropping on Jane Austen's England, and this is by Roy and Leslie Adkins, and this is like a social history of Jane Austen's time. I've got Jane Austen Alive by Claire Tomalin. I've read this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant read. Thoroughly recommend it. I've also got The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things by Paula Byrne. And this again is a biography of Jane. And it's sort of like, I think it's more analytical in its approach to Jane Austen's life. And then I've got What Matters in Austen by John Mullen, and it says 20 crucial puzzles solved, and I think it talks about why do people address each other the way they do, why do they dress the way they do, you know, those sorts of things, which people maybe killed off in Jane Austen, those sorts of things like that. And then I've got Jane Austen, The World of Her Novels by Deirdre LaFay, so that sort of gives the whole background to the novels and, you know, the social situation in the novel and how they all link in with the novels themselves. Then I have Understanding Austen, Key Concepts in the 6 Novels by Maggie Lane, so I think that pretty much does what it says on the tin. And then finally I have Jane Austen for Dummies. So I think somebody actually gave me this and I thought, well yeah, I'll have a do at that one because that might just be a quick reference guide. So that is going to be my Austen project. It's underway. I've read a few of these books already. I've seen quite a few of the adaptations now, and so I will be posting videos about each bit of the project as I get to it. So, you know, I'll probably take each novel in turn and talk about how I thought about the novel and the adaptations and the films, and then as I go along I'll read these non-fiction books alongside that and let you know how I get on. So I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings on Jane Austen and the adaptations that you've read, maybe if you've read any of these new modern adaptations of the Austen Project, or, you know, which is your favourite film or TV adaptation. I'd love to know because I've seen quite a few, but there might be some that I've not actually come across yet, and I'll let you know how I get on. See you all soon. Bye!